Hi students, welcome to Sreedhar'scce Anantapuramu YouTube channel. Welcome to our session, Editorial Analysis session. So we start with the quote of the day for the motivation purpose, and we deal with the root words. So to memorize the vocabulary to the maximum extent, that is the only way. And phrasal expressions keeping exam in point of view, and vocabulary comprising phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions, as well as content vocabulary along with the parts of speech, and analysis related to the editorial of the day, and the last but not the least, test of the day with shortcuts. And without delaying, let's get to quote of the day. Without continual, I got one more grammatical thing here. Let me tell you. Continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Benjamin Franklin said by. Right, so continual, continuous. I think yesterday or day before yesterday I told you about this. Continuous means without break, and continual means having breaks. Having breaks, continuing, having breaks is continual. Continuing without breaks is continuous. So that is the main thing. So whatever it is, growth and progress shall be there. Without that, there is no meaning for these words like improvement, achievement, and success. They have no meaning at all. So there should be growth and progress. So you just cross check them. And you have got disagree with and disclose to as phrases. So what are these? Disagree with, obviously not in conformity, not in access with someone, not in agreement with someone. He disagrees with, he disagrees from, obviously wrong. Your mind even don't accept that. Next, disclose to. Disclosing is nothing but closing means closing. Disclosing means opening, means revealing, especially revealing something like secrets. So please do not disclose that secret to anyone. Please do not disclose this secret with anyone. Your mind accepts to this. Don't disclose this with anyone. With your mind accepts, but that's obviously wrong. So it has to go with to preposition. Now let's get to root words alphabetical order. Alphabet E. EP, ep or epi, on or upon or over. Like we are familiar. Epidemic. Rapid spread over, spreading over something, spreading of something, like on something. Epidemic, endemic, pandemic. Epilogue, especially a short speech delivered after a play, concluding the play. Concluding. Actually, these words are pretty familiar to whoever write SSC related papers. Next, epicenter. So what is this epicenter? So center of an earthquake is epicenter, like on earth, right? Next, obviously equal or equally related. Equidistant and equal distance from 2 points. Equanimity, calm temperament, evenness of temper. Equanimity, anonymity means temper related. So equanimity means balanced temper. Equation, statement of equality. Yes. Now, editorial vocabulary: world, international, global order, arrangement of power and authority that provides the system for the conduct of diplomacy, and world politics in relation to the entire world. So balancing this total system is global order. Comprehensive, all inclusive, broad based, complete, thorough. Comprehensive is complete understanding. In the forefront of important position, in an important position. Activity, spearhead, vanguard, these are new terms, remember. Next, organ, like contextually it can be taken as department also. Next, stake a claim. What is this? Assert, declare, proclaim, establish, right? Next, populace, popular being in fame or something like that. Populace, densely populated. Rules based, based on a predetermined set of principles. Peacekeeping, it is defined as the prevention or containment, moderation, termination of hostilities, especially enmity between the countries through peaceful third-party intervention. So organized and directed internationally using multinational forces of soldiers, police, and civilians to restore and maintain peace. That is peacekeeping. By whom? By UNO people. Veto, power to reject a decision, especially by a governing body. By virtue of is otherwise called as because of or an account of or as a result of. Multilateral, unilateral, bilateral, multilateral. Multilateral means like involving many countries. Next, crux, main essence, most important, central point is crux. crux, core, right? We know those words. Polarization, separation of two contrasting groups is polarization. Heed, so he pays no heed to, it's an expression, phrasal expression. Pay no heed to. Pay no heed to means not paying attention. Pay heed to means paying attention or considering something or taking into account. Stand still, a situation in which something stops happening, like stagnant, dead stop, halt. Dysfunctional, not functional or not working properly in an orderly manner, troubled or unsettled, flawed. Flaw means error. Prevail, exist or most common, be prevalent. Prevail, verb, prevalent, adjective. Intergovernmental or negotiations framework, IZ, an intergovernmental negotiations framework. So group of nation states working within the United Nations to further reform of the United Nations Security Council. So the body group of nation states which work to reform this UNSC, that is United Nations Security Council, is called as IZ, an intergovernmental negotiations. Rollover, transfer of a particular arrangement, financial arrangement. Wield, wielded, exercise, exert, be possessed of, commanding, having. So wielding means having, remember like that. Pledge, to promise, to give one's word, you know this pledge. Instill, imbue, introduce, infuse, inculcate, introduce, like you can take this. Peril, peril is different, peril is different. Peril is completely problem, like a risk or tensions, like dangers. Peace building, action to identify and support structures which will tend to strengthen, ending with en. Don't think that it is V3, it's V1. Especially this kind of verbs, whenever there comes an occasion, I'll explain you. Peace building, action to identify and support structures which will tend to strengthen and solidify peace. Peacemaking, peace building. Architecture, you know this, structure, framework, formation. Excuse me. Yeah, what is this editorial about? A new world order on UN reforms, United Nations reforms. The permanent members of UNSC must support the reform process of the UN. Yes, that is the thing. A new world order means post this corona, that is COVID-19. As a special session making 75 years of UN on Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for reform of its outdated structures. So our Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking this special session occasion of 75 years of United Nations, our Prime Minister Modi called for reformations to its outdated structures, like completely misplaced, like completely out of date. Finding out that in the absence of comprehensive, like all, including all changes, the world body today faces a crisis of confidence. That's what the idea of our Prime Minister. While the words appear harsh, considering the occasion, given the occasion, they can hardly be faulted. So they are not faulted, whatever it is. So whatever the statement given by Modi may be harsh, that statement may be harsh, but they are not faulted. Definitely they have certain meaning. India has been at the forefront of demanding reform in the UN, particularly in its principal organ, the Security Council, for decades, taking its claim as one of the world's largest economies and most populous countries, with a track record in promoting a rules-based international order and contributing to a peacemaking through UN forces. So however, we have that right to demand reforms, because so it has been the forefront, means right at it is starting demanding reform, especially this Security Council related matter. So because being the world's largest economies, one of the largest economies and most populous countries, with a track record promoting especially rule based international order, especially this peacemaking through UN forces, it has complete rights to demand and ask for changes or reforms in UN. The UN was born in the crisis of the World War era. The realities of that time can hardly be compared to the present time. Yes, we have to accept to this point. So realities are completely different right now compared to the formation date of UN, which formed at the time of World War era. Right. Next, the UNSC's permanent veto-carrying members, chosen by the virtue of being winners of World War II, the US and UK, France, Russia and later China, can hardly claim adequate representation of the world's leadership today. So however, Who are the remaining permanent members and winners of World War II? US, UK, France, Russia, and later China. They hardly claim, means they can't claim adequate representation of the leadership today. The UNSC does not include a permanent member from the African, Australian, South American continents, and the pillars of multilateral order, such as the G4 group of Brazil, India, Germany, and Japan, have been ignored for long. So, however, UNSC did not include this permanent member from African, Australian, South American continents, and the pillars of this multilateral means involving many countries order, such as WHO, this G4 or Brazil or India, Germany, and Japan. They have been ignored for a long time. Yes, other more representative options exist, however, and that has been the crux, the main point of the battle for change. Also, there is a deep polarization within the UN's membership. So, that particular 2 points. So, decisions are either not taken or not heeded, not paid attention. Frequent divisions within the UNSCP5 ended up blocking key decisions. So, these divisions among these permanent members ended up blocking some key decisions, important decisions. These issues are underlined or emphasized in a year where the coronavirus pandemic has brought the world to a standstill, means constant, stagnant, without any progress. Yet the UN, the UNSC, and WHO have failed to play an effective role in helping nations deal with the spread. So, the pretty clear thing is, so all these organizations failed to help nations dealing with this spread of corona. For India, what has been most frustrating is that despite the dysfunctional power balance that prevails, that's which common in UN, the UN's reform process held through intergovernmental negotiations and not made progress over decades despite commitments. So, the most frustrating thing for India is, so there is no progress in this reform process of UN right from the last decades, even though there are commitments exist. The UN has chosen to roll over the decisions of the ICN, which are looking at 5 major issues: enlarging the Security Council, categories of membership, the question of the veto that 5 permanent members of the UNSC wield. Yes, next regional representation and redistributing the Security Council General Assembly power balance. So, what are the key issues? They are just rolling over the decisions of the ICN. So, looking at these 5 major issues, one is enlarging the Security Council. Next, categories of membership also have to be looked at. Next, the question of the veto that 5 permanent members of the UNSC wield. So, what is the question about, like, to whom shall it carry forward? Next, regional representation from all the different countries and redistributing this Security Council General Assembly power balance. Yes, it is some comfort that the UN 75th Anniversary Declaration passed by all the member countries this week pledges to upgrade the United Nations with a commitment to instill new life in the decisions on the reform of the Security Council. However, this 75th year occasion, it showed some comfort that all the member countries this week they pledged for this upgrading this UN with a commitment to instill a new life in the discussions on the reform of the Security Council. Those words can only be realized if the UNSC's permanent members recognize the deep peril, means danger, the UN faces, and support the reform process and act that will require looking beyond their own interests for the greater good of the world and its peace building architecture. So, however, finally, these words only be recognized whenever these permanent members recognize the deep peril, the danger the UN right now facing, and support the reform process. These people have to support and let that act move forward. An act that will require looking beyond their own interests. What are their own interests, being the permanent members? So, they have to look beyond their interests for the greater good of the entire world and its peace building structure. That's the only thing, that's a concluding thing of the editorial. And the test of the day here, so 4 words are highlighted. They may be inappropriate or misspelt grammatically, contextually. So, let's check this. Yeah, right now, MONETARY, monetary, no need to check the remaining. Lead confrontation which may result in impulsive behavior, BEHA, no need to look the remaining. Next, falling prices, double L is required, failing or falling, L is required. So, with the falling prices is more probable. So, falling, so answer is B. No need to look at the remaining. If it is inappropriate, you have to think about think over a little again. Accentuated, double C is taken. It's again remove. Needn't to think the remaining options, because affirmation takes double F, so that's there we end the task. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the class and thank you for watching. Whoever didn't subscribe to our channel and forward to your friends. So more are yet to come. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like. Thank you. Signing off.